This week on Finally Seen, we are joined by Chase Williams. And a few years ago, she looked at her life from the outside and realized she was doing everything right by industry standards, but it did not feel right on the inside. As a corporate fitness director, she was guiding others to better health while quietly wrestling with the chaos of her own schedule, her family's needs, and a calling she couldn't ignore. That moment of honesty became the turning point, and today, Chase is the founder of Chaselynn Fitness and the creator of the 3M method, macros, mindset, and movement, a faith-fueled approach helping Christian moms building a household of health that lasts for generations. She's also a wife, homeschooling mom of three, and the host of Noble and Nourished. Chase, I can't wait to dig into your story. Welcome to Finally Seen. Thank you for
Oh,
joining me.
yes. Thank you for having me. I was so glad we got it on the schedule and got to connect. It's going to be good.
I know. And, we have a lot in common. I mean, I talked about how you're obviously in the fitness, that's why you're here, but the homeschool mom aspect, the busy mom. So tell me about when you discovered this just isn't working. What I'm doing is not working.
Well, it's kind of funny because if you look at pivotal moments, I don't think there was just one moment. It was mostly just over time in different parts of the journey. I'm like, what I was doing is not working. Right. So the first one was when I first got pregnant with my first daughter. So I have three girls, got pregnant with my first daughter. And I was at that point eating like one meal a day and a Route 44 sweet tea. And I'm like, yes, like I was going through the Sonic drive through. Like that was basically what I was doing. And I realized that once I got pregnant, I was like, all the things that I know about nutrition and fuel, and it's not what I want to teach my daughter. Like, there was a lot of disconnect between how I was fueling my body, the habits I had around food. And I was like, oh, I've got to work on some stuff. And so that was probably part one, is once I became a mom. And then part two was COVID, and which everyone I think has some sort of epiphany like that
Yeah.
year, and they're like they either something new came out of that, which I am thankful for that space. And so, COVID year was my biggest thing for me, where like in my own transformation, where I had been doing like boot camp style, conditioning style workouts, where it was like go all or nothing, like those type of workouts for so long. Being a competitive cheerleader, like conditioning was part of the thing. Everything had to be
Wow.
perfect. Everything had to be all or nothing. Like you got to go all in. And I realized through COVID that once I just got my steps up, because we walked every day, right? And I actually got into a little bit more strength training components where my body actually responded heck better in that space. And then that kind of drove me into, okay, like I got to figure something out. Like, how can I help more women do more of this?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah. I love that you're saying it that way because, you're juggling the homeschooling and all of that. And I know a lot of moms, they'll just say, I'm just too busy. I can't do it. And, I used to be in the fitness industry as well. And so I've heard all those excuses. No joke. I'm trying to think if this person would be listening to. When I used to be a trainer, one time somebody literally asked me for a smoke break during our workout session.
and you're like, what?
Yeah. And I was like, oh, you're for real. No.
No, you're not getting a smoke break. Sorry, sorry, not
Well,
sorry.
I don't know why that just popped in my head, but I guess because I think I've heard all the excuses just like you
Yeah.
have. And so, I love that you're showing women, no, we can figure out what's working for our bodies, figure out how to make it work in our schedules. I mean, like I teased with you right before this, we've talked offline about how my mast cell activation syndrome kind of hasn't really allowed me to fully get back to my workouts like I want, but I at least keep my weights,
Yes.
available. And so I can at least do something throughout the day. Um, but what has been, I guess, the most fun part of watching your kids watch you do all this?
Mm. Oh, that makes me tear up. So I think the best part is because it's never, it starts with me for sure, because the habits start with me. My relationship with food starts with me. My own body image starts with me. Like the habits in actually working out starts with me. So that's number one. And then they are a ripple effect of my own habits, right? And that's in any type of parenting, no matter what you're doing. And so when it comes to this health journey and fitness and nutrition and like looking at our bodies differently, like the biggest, the most fun that I love with my girls is hearing them just just the little nuggets over time. Like like little phrases that you either say or things that you do, and then they just like repeat it like some random time, and you're like, oh yes, you're listening, like that they're listening. So I think that's part of it, like when you get to reciprocate, like they reciprocate what is landing.
Yeah.
And then I think the next component to that would be also where their conversations with their friends start to come into play.
Ah,
And yeah, and they talk about, oh, well, I eat this because this gives me fuel, or I eat this because this helps my muscles. Like, and I've got younger kids, so the verbiage is a little bit, third grade, right? Like I've got 3, 6, and 9-year olds. So the conversation's very not immature,
no,
very age
no,
appropriate. That's the
yeah,
word. That's what I was looking for. It's age appropriate.
foundational. Yeah,
Yeah.
foundational.
Yes. And so those are my favorite things. And it's funny because I like, as the wife and the mom, like I'm always going up to my husband. I'm like, feel my bicep. I'm like, feel my bicep, feel my bicep. And so my oldest daughter, she's about to turn 10, and she's like, Mom, feel my muscle, feel my
Amazing.
muscle. And I'm like, yes, girl. I'm like, you are so strong. You are so strong. And so I think that's probably the most fun, is just hearing them, like say the things that you say. You're like, oh, sometimes it's not good. Sometimes you're like, oh, I need to fix. Like as a parent, you're like, that was totally mean. That's what I say. And I need to, like, that needs to work. I need to work on that.
I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're saying, and I mean, myself included, and I think for me, it's been a really hard journey going post, I used to compete in physique competitions, so, knowing what I looked like then at 8% body fat and to now being a perfectly acceptably sized woman, like, and I am still quite fit, I have muscles and whatnot, but even looking at myself now, I had, especially when I had all the inflammation before I figured out what was going on, I would constantly say, "Oh my God, I'm so fat." And the girls were
Yeah.
like, "Mom, you're not fat. What are you talking about?" And I hated photos. I still don't really like them, but I hated photos because I just felt like I wasn't me.
Mm.
But it goes to what you were saying though about watching what you say, because I was like, gosh, I would never tell the girls, "Oh, you're fat," or "Oh, you're
Yes.
ugly." So why am I telling myself that?
No, and it's funny because they actually, and it's weird because even like your subconscious, like, and I've been doing a lot of reading around all this, but even like the subconscious things that we think and feel, like what is there's science behind it. And here I am botching it and I'm like talking about it on a podcast, but they absorb it, right? And it's the same thing. Like when you're angry and you hold on to like this anger, they like will be angry. It's
Yeah.
like this
Well,
whole,
it's an
it's,
energy transfer.
yes,
It boils down to quantum science, and
yes.
which I mention on every episode. So hopefully the listeners aren't like, "Oh my God, okay, we gotta like quantum science." But no, once you understand quantum science, you see how it plays a part in literally everything. And you're
Yes.
right. It's they can feel what we're feeling because it's science. It's literal energy and
Yes.
vibrations that you're putting out, and they pick up on it. That's how dogs know when you're scared. That's how you walk into a room and you're like, "Oh, I felt the
No, this feels
chicken."
awkward in here.
Yeah. That's literally the energy you're feeling and the vibration. So no, you're right. The kids pick up on that at 100%. And, um, I love that our family, all of our kids are active. Sienna, not so much. She's got, her skeletal issues that she deals with. So sometimes she struggles to find things that she can do, but she loves swimming. So we try to at least let her swim as much as possible. But I remember even when our son was in the military, I would make these like chocolate protein cookies or whatever. And he was overseas and he would, ask for me to make those and ship them over. And, or he would ask, "Okay, I need another protein powder. What should I get?" And so it was just, as a woman, really cool that it's not just my husband that the kids
Yeah, yeah,
belong
yeah.
to, it's like,
He's like, Mom.
exactly. And so I love when, women take ownership of their own fitness journey. And, it's fine to ask a guy if you don't have anybody else to ask, but, you know, you don't have to rely on a guy, especially since their bodies are so different than ours.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
tell me how you came up with 3M.
So, oh my gosh, no one has ever asked me that. That is so good. That is so good. So, for me, when I transitioned, so it does have a little bit of a backstory. So when I transitioned from being like, doing the corporate director and running a team and all those things, like in more corporate setting in the fitness industry, like I basically, when I was in transition and I'm like, wait, I got to think of the whole thing, right? And I was very much like, get your workout on, get your workout on, get your workout in. And then when COVID, that's what I was saying, is COVID was part of that journey. It's like when I realized, wait, we need more to it than just workouts. Like it is not just, and you being a competitor, like it is not just the workouts. Like everything has to come together. And that's really
It's
why I teach from a holistic standpoint, is because we've got so much the mindset is the biggest component, to be honest. Mindset, macros, of course, we've got to make sure we've got a fundamental and foundational understanding of what we're eating.
Mhm.
And then movement is always going to be something that should never not be in your lifestyle, no matter what.
Yeah.
And so when I was thinking about, okay, well, how do I get these women, one, to not just be connected to, oh, I got my workout in. I'm like, again, not just about workouts. Like, what are we really truly working towards? And how are we encompassing all of these three components in one? And that's kind of how the whole 3M kind of was born together, because
I
like
love
all
it.
of those components like are so important.
I love
And
it.
especially for really just trying to get to like physique changes, right? And I work more so with like lifestyle, sustainability, like that kind of like client. That's who I work with, that I do the best with, because we're working in rhythms. We're trying to create a good rhythm. We're trying to like do it like long term, not just for like the short term. So
Well, I'm kind of chuckling because I was thinking. So we're getting the house ready to sell. So we're doing some painting, and I thankfully have always been able to maintain a good yoga practice, and so I still do yoga on a regular basis. And I was painting this really awkward spot in our master bathroom, and I was doing this like weird twist with a balance, and I was like, thank goodness I know how to do yoga, because it's exactly what I was doing. And so, that's exactly what you're talking about with the lifestyle stuff. Sometimes even, as we get older, we don't really think about these types of functional things that really come into play. And I'm so thankful that I am so strong still, and that I have that nice foundation, because just doing some things around the house, it's like, hey, no, I can do that. I don't need to call somebody to help. I can do that. Sometimes it annoys my husband because I won't wait for him to do stuff, and I'll just do
ah, same.
it.
That's
My
how we got
husband's like,
shiplap in my house, because I was like, I just started like banging stuff out, and he was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm putting up shiplap," and I'm like, "I need your help." And then he finally like stepped in after I'd already started the whole entire project. I was so
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So, like this chair that I'm in, it's a rather large chair, and my husband and I brought it in. It's vintage. It was from my grandma and grandpa's place. So I think it's from, I don't know, 60s, I guess. So it's legit vintage. So it's hardcore furniture like they made back then. And so we had it in the foyer, and I was going to move it into the office, and my husband went and did something. He was taking too long, and I was like, I'm just going to push it in there. And
Yeah,
so I got it in there myself. He's like, babe, that's too heavy. I'm like, no, I put sliders under it. I'm good.
it's good. We got to take care of.
Yeah, yeah, that's funny. And you mentioned the macros earlier. A lot of people don't necessarily know what macros are. So why don't we break those down?
Sure. So basically, what your body's uses energy, right? Like we all use energy no matter what. And macros are components of every single food source. So it's always funny to me because you'll see a lot of, oh, macro friendly. And I'm like, wait a minute, every single
Or
thing you consume has macros in it. Like when they're like, macro friendly, I'm like, yeah, no. It's so weird to me because it's in everything that you consume. So macros are three components. It's your protein, your carbs, and your fats. And depending on goals. So and this is where I think macros not gets complicated, but I think where most people just have a misconception of it. So macros is basically what you can split up all of your food sources. And you can have 30%, 40%, 20%. Like you can move all these numbers around and depending on what your goals are. And then you have these apps, like, and this is where I get a little aggravated because a lot of these apps will just randomly tell you, oh, based on your goal, this
yeah,
is what you should be consuming. And then someone thinks, well, I got my macro numbers, and they think they should consume those all the time. And when in reality, you should like macros can move all over the place. Like you can have, be consuming 40% protein and 30 and 30, right? Like 30 carbs, 30 fats. Like, and it really just depends on how you break those macros down on what your goals are. And, just you being a competitor, like I'm sure you have a great understanding of how they work too. Like it, if you're going to put on muscle, you have to be in a surplus. And so this comes into calorie intake as well, where the calories has to be more than what you're using energy wise to put on muscle. So you got to be at a surplus. And then you've also got to be in a deficit to make sure that you are dropping body fat. So if you're trying to drop body fat, you got to be in a deficit. And this is where macros can come into play, but also your movement and your
Right.
mindset
Yep.
around some of those things. So
Yep.
it's not just macros only. You're going to be the like all or whatever, right? It's
Yeah,
not just,
I like that you're pointing out that it's not just one thing because
yeah.
I can't stand, obviously I'm in the PR side, so I see lots of articles. I have to follow articles and see these TV segments, and I'll see something and it'll be, oh, red meat causes heart attacks. Well,
Mm,
let's dive into that a little bit more. Like, are they smoking? Do they work out? Do they have some underlying
yes.
other condition? Like, there are so many other things.
Yes.
And, people just don't really look at it on a metaphysical level where it's taking in the spiritual, mental, all of these things. They're just like, oh, well, I have to just stop eating carbs.
Mm,
Well, not really.
yeah. And just because your best friend is doing that doesn't mean you need to either.
Yeah, and so like especially for me, I'm still struggling to figure out my nutrition. I'm mostly carnivore right now because that's what makes me feel the best.
Best.
And again, depending on where my histamine level is, like I still have to do a low histamine version of carnivore. So I know like a lot of people on carnivore do bacon. Well, I don't eat processed meats because it's high in histamine and a carcinogen, but don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
Um, so, and I even try to eat as local as possible so that it, makes my mitochondria happy with being local and the quantum physics around it with being local. Um, I get real nerdy on it, so
I
I'm
love it.
excited to have you in here. But the macro side of things, I do feel like sometimes I'm not getting everything I need to get just by because there are some weeks where it's literally just chicken that I can tolerate. That's it. And so I know I'm not getting everything that I need, and there will be days where I will have some carbs and I feel like crap, and they'll be good carbs. And then there will be days when I have carbs and I feel great. Like today, I was able to have chicken with some quinoa and I feel good. But no joke, literally, I could have the same thing tomorrow and my heart would start racing and I'd have palpitations and all of that. It's just so it's getting very challenging. So I appreciate that you don't take a one size fits all approach with women and you really, get to understand their lifestyle, their goals, like you mentioned earlier, muscle versus fat loss. And, one thing that I like to point out to people that was surprising to me with all the knowledge I had on nutrition was, I thought I was eating healthy because I was eating spinach and peanut butter and things like that. And come to find out, peanuts are one of my actual IgE allergies, like anaphylactic reaction allergies. So I was eating peanuts,
All the time.
constantly causing
Yeah.
inflammation and not realizing it. And I just felt so bad all over that I was never able to tell a particular, like, ping, that was it.
Yeah.
Same with spinach. I was eating spinach every day. Spinach is high in histamines. So for somebody like me, not good to eat. And it was like, wow, we really have to dive into each individual person to figure it out. And so I love that you're available as a resource for women and you're very approachable. You're not like out here trying to say all of us have to be bikini models and
No. Because my goals are not someone else's goals, right? And that's what's I think when it comes to like the lifestyle thing, it is too from a coaching standpoint, helping a client understand their own body, right? It's not someone saying eat X, Y, and Z, and for you, like you don't, if you're working with someone and you're experiencing something, you're like, wait, I had that yesterday. Here it is about 24, 48 hours. It was something outside of my normal eating regimen. I feel funky. What was it that I did differently? And that's why, tracking it comes into place. Because if you do track for awareness, tracking your food, especially if you're getting brand new into this process, if you're tracking your stuff and you're tracking what you're eating and you're seeing what's going into your body, then you can start making executive decisions on, oh, every time I do X, Y, and Z, this is how my body's responding. Let's make some adjustments. And a lot of people just don't slow down enough
Yeah.
to really dial in on some of these things, and not everyone is, you have to be ready for it. You have to want to feel better. That desire has to be greater than you wanting to eat chips and queso. Like,
Yeah.
even though I love chips and queso and chips and salsa, like, it's my absolute favorite thing to eat. But you have to have these desires to heal above these comfort, easy, convenient things,
Yeah.
and it takes a little bit of effort on a client's end, or, whoever it, to implement the strategies to see their body respond.
Well, and I love too that you brought up that you love chips and queso, because
Yeah.
I still love chips. And before I couldn't eat guacamole, I loved avocado and guacamole and all that. Um, Avocados are high in histamine, so I can't eat them either. But um, I love that you said that, because it's not about always being perfect. It's a, goes back to the mindset thing and the balance and, lifestyle, like you mentioned, fitting it in. Cause especially like when people travel, that gets really challenging. I know, I mean, when we go out to eat, it is a little challenging for me, but I just know, hey, I may have to bring my own food. Like we
Yes.
went to a friend's house the other day, and I brought my own chicken because I knew it was going to be safe for me to eat. And uh, actually, this past weekend, we had some friends teasing me as well. When during my competitor days, and I was trying to get more protein, I, no joke, all the time would bring out of my purse a piece of meatloaf or a piece of chicken, and they're like, "Wait, you had that in your purse?"
You're like, yes, I did. Ready to go.
Yeah, so I'm always known as like meatloaf purse lady, but
That's so fun. That's so
um,
fun.
let me see. So when it comes to the shift that you made from the cardio side of things, I know a lot of women, oh, I got to get my hour on the elliptical, and that's all they do. What
Yeah.
was it that helped you shift from, no, I want to lift weights?
I wanted or two things. I think I wanted to slow down a little bit. It
Mm,
started with that. Like, it started with, it was a constant go, 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 go. And at this point, I had two kids when I started transitioning, because now I have three. But in those early ages of, like, okay, getting into strength training, getting into a little bit more, regimen that I'm going to be doing longer term. Cause I did the spin classes, the hit workouts, the boot camps, like all the stuff. Like, again, being a competitor, like that was fun stuff for me, because anytime, like, our conditioning coach would be like, "You, it's time to condition." And it was exciting. And it was my favorite part of conditioning, right? Or conditioning was a favorite part of practice. So stepping into, like, more of the strength training, I just needed a space that was, like, more chill. Like, and what I mean by more chill is, like, it really is, you slow down, you have such a mind to body connection with your movements. It is not rushed. Like, you slow down to feel I feel the muscles every single time I lift. I'm like, "Ooh, there it is. All right. Yes." And I'm like, "Oh, I've also got room to grow here." Like, that was a little bit too easy, and it's been fun to really push myself. And that was like the starting days of all of it, and then my body composition started adjusting, and I was like, "Oh, look at this muscle." Like, it was
like,
so,
hey.
yeah. And so as my body started responding with, a cleaner eating regimen, dialed in more with my macros, like dialed in nutritionally, and then pairing it with legit strength workouts, I was like, dang, I look good. Like, I was so proud of, I'm just going to be fairly honest. That's where it started. And I'm like, if I feel so good, imagine what other ladies are going to feel when they start doing this.
Yeah.
Right. And I think it's awesome. Not Strength training has been around for a long time. Like, I just saw a video the other day of, like, these two ladies, which before lifting was cool, in like the 80s. And they're like little, videos talking about the tricep muscle. And
Nice.
they're like doing, and I was like, I don't know who found this video, but this is fun. Like, great to see this. And I think too, sometimes, I think we're shifting in the fitness industry for sure, but I still think we still have a lot of work to do. Like there's still a lot of conversation around body image that still isn't healthy. Um, and I think we also, the older we get, because I'll hit 40 next May. So now it's like, okay, well, as I'm working with more clients, I'm like, great, we get to get more educated on perimenopause and menopause and postmenopause. And like, how fun is that? We have so many different parts of the journey that we get to learn more about ourselves. And I think it's a great aspect where some people are like, menopause. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but it's great. Like, you get to learn more, you know? Like men don't have a lot of that. Like they just have like, and here we are getting to go through like so many different cycles in life. I'm like, it's wonderful. And
You know,
what I mean by that is it's great because I think there's also more opportunity because as we start aging and getting into this midlife, like we have to do things differently than we did in our 20s and even early
well,
30s.
and I think what you're saying too is we have the opportunity now to discover these things. Menopause and all that, that's going to happen regardless.
Yes.
30, 40, 50 years ago, women just kind of like, oh, that's the way it is.
Yes.
And now we know better. And so now it's like, okay, cool. We can do something with this. We can work with this. We don't have to just settle. Like, and I know that everybody talks about Ozempic and Manjaro and all of those. And, I understand the legitimate needs for those in some places. I just personally would prefer people take a look at everything
Yes.
first.
I agree. I
But
love how you were like lightly saying,
I know. I mean, I'm not going to lie though. I remember before I discovered that what I was having was just constant allergic reactions causing inflammation and fluid. I, at one point, was like, okay, I'm working out. I know how to eat properly, or so I thought then. Am I going to have to go get on something to lose this weight? I tried hormone replacement therapy, and it's like, that's again pointing to where it's not just one thing ever. And it's like I felt how awful that felt. So I can imagine some of these women. And, I know when they go to the doctor, doctors aren't educated in all of this stuff. They're not educated in nutrition, hormone replacement therapy. They're not educated in um, specifically menopause a lot of times from the mindset aspect, the spiritual aspect, the nervous system, like all the things, again, looking at it from a metaphysical standpoint, and they don't realize that there are options to at least explore first. Again, I am not bashing it if that's what somebody ends up needing to do. So obviously I have an EpiPen, I take medication. Like I'm not anti medication, but I'm just saying it may not be the right choice for everyone. And so that's what I want people to look at. Because I do know people who they're just on it just to lose weight and they don't really need it anymore, but they're like addicted to it. And I'm like, are you guys just going to be on it for the rest of your life? And I'll probably get some haters for this, but I'm like, even myself, I have to take Zolair for my food allergies. And even that, I'm like, is there a way that I can get out
this
of
it.
having to
Yeah.
take this for the rest of my life? Because if so, that's what I want to do. At this point, I don't have the answer for that. So I am still on it. But,
Yes.
I'm just thinking, I want to explore every option because I know our bodies have been designed so incredibly. And I think that's a good segue into the faith side of things that you bring into your practice. Where does your faith side come in?
Tired of overpriced energy drinks full of junk? Same. That's why I use Babello, a self-carbonating hydration packet that gives you clean energy, electrolytes, and vitamins without the crash. Just add water, shake, and sip. It's way more affordable than typical energy drinks and way better for you. Use code ChrissyBernal15 at checkout to get 15% off at drinkbabello.com. Hydration just got an upgrade.
Um, for me, it again kind of stemmed with the whole COVID year. And I mean, I've been a woman of faith like forever. Grew up in the church, all the stuff. But when I was realized that the company I was partnered with, they say they're a faith-based company. They say that they're doing, like this is what we believe. And then all the things that happened in 2020, and I got to be on all company calls and decisions that were being made and like all this stuff. I'm like, you can't say you're a faith-based company and then not follow through with faith-based like decisions. So saying that point blank. And that was really when I was like, no, this all needs to, like, when I open my own thing, I'm like, that will be the center of what I do. And because everything, every woman I get to talk to, every podcast I get to be on, is because God was like, you need to talk to this person. You need to be with this person. That's number one. The second component to that is all over the Bible. There are so many things that it discuss the gluttony. It talks about, body image. Like there is so much that the Bible actually has conversations around this, like taking care of your body. Like it's everywhere. There's a lot. And here I am like, can't brain farting on anything on dropping, of course, when it's like, you need to like recall something. I'm like, well, none of them are coming up. So, but I do know that like when I spend time in my morning session and reading the Bible and I do my morning devotion time, I know that I'm a better mom, right? Like these are all things that are, ripple effects of it. I'm a better mom. I'm a better coach. I'm a better listener. I'm a better wife. Like I'm a better leader in my company. Like there are so many other things that kind of come into that. And when I say I teach from a holistic standpoint, like it is a holistic standpoint. Like I'm like, I don't want my clients just to thrive in their fitness and nutrition journey. I want them thriving in all areas, right? And if we put God center of all of it, every area can continue to thrive because he is the one like molded everything and putting it all into place. And so, especially when it comes to, aligning your faith and aligning your your food and your body and all this stuff, like if you pray on it, God's going to answer those prayers. And I'm just going to say that point blank. Like if you pray on it and you're like, dear Lord, help me to, be disciplined and help me to, not self-sabotage and help me walk alongside of me on this journey. Like he will walk alongside of you in it. And not only that, like he wants you to be disciplined in everything that you're doing. He wants you to be disciplined in his relationship with him. He wants you to be disciplined in your Bible time. He wants you to be disciplined in the food you eat, in the food consumption, and your fitness routine. Like he wants you to do that. He wants you to be disciplined in your money and your finances and all of it.
I like to say that we're supposed to be good stewards of literally everything we've been given, whether that's our body, the earth, our finances, our stories. Every single thing we've been given has been given to us for the purpose of the overall betterment of everyone. And, for Christians, it's to expand the kingdom of God. But even for non-Christians, they've still been given stuff to just make the world a better place. And that starts with being good stewards of everything, and our bodies are included. So, the more I study the quantum physics and quantum sciences, or quantum science, I see more and more like, as I'm reading something in the Bible, I'm like, oh, okay, now I get it. I understand how that works. And
Yeah.
like when you were talking about praying over your food, that's just, it's an energetic vibration that you're putting out there on the food and putting positivity. And so there is quantum science that explains why that works. It's not magic. It's God designed it to work like that.
Mhm.
And like with the grounding, I'm just always so blown away with how God gave us all these really cool tools to use. Like grounding. I'm like, that's ingenious.
Yes.
You literally can just step on it with bare feet. Are you serious?
Yeah.
I
You know
can
what's so funny?
literally-
Because when I had my first daughter, I was like, oh my gosh, don't take off her shoes. Like I was such a control freak. And what's funny is I wasn't even like as controlling as like some other moms. I'm like, I'm a pretty chill mom. But then I look back and I'm like, oh my God, you were crazy. But I like now I'm like, my girls are like, take my shoes off. I'm like, take your shoes off. I'm like, fine. Like whatever. I'm like, it's fine. Like, we get hand sanitizer at the park. It's no big deal. Like, whatever, go run around. Like, and I remember because I know how good it is, and I'm like, and like you just said, he gives us all the tools that we need. And especially because that's what I teach my clients. I'm like, God made it, we consume it. Like, I kind of go that route of like, they're like, well, I just don't know what to eat. And I'm like, well, keep it simple. Did God make it? Did he make this food for you? So, just keeping things generally, it's provided for us, and it's absolutely amazing.
You made me think of something my husband and I were talking about. So my husband grew up in the country, like country,
Yeah.
like grew and shot his food, like that
Yes.
country. And, we talked about how despite how poor he was growing up, he still has, he's a very muscular guy. He's, got all these things, very smart. And, he, what we think it boils down to is even though he was poor, he was outside all the time, getting his sunshine, playing in the dirt, all those nature things versus maybe some of these kids who are unfortunately stuck in
Side.
an apartment in the inner city and they don't get any of the outside and their apartment maybe has mold in it or and it's really interesting to look at to see we need to make sure our kids are not being disserviced by not allowing them to enjoy the earth and get dirty and get some sunlight and all that
Yeah.
stuff. So and you made me think too, we went to a crawfish boil for anybody who's not from like the
I
Texas,
know.
Louisiana area, we have these things called crawfish boils down here. And, there's usually a lot of spice in the air. So I was afraid, I wasn't really sure how my body was going to react to just the stuff in the air. And it's the funniest thing. I did start to like my hives started to come up a little bit, but had my EpiPen and the host was a nurse. So we are good. Um, but it was outside and my heel broke on my shoe and I had to go barefoot in the backyard. I had zero reactions the whole day and I
Oh,
felt
wow.
fantastic. And I was like, huh, I bet it was because I was grounding literally all dang
All
day.
day, all day.
So, yeah, I think it's really cool. And yeah, I think all first moms are kind of like, all first time moms are kind of like that.
Yeah. I'm like, looking back, I'm like, what were you thinking? I don't know. You were thinking you were doing what was right. But also, I was like, I'm a very type A person. And so, the control mechanism comes from, just wanting to hold on, wanting to like protect everything. And that came out a lot. Like I stopped nursing early because I didn't know how much she was getting, like all of those things. And then the third one, I'm like, whatever. Like it's fine.
Well, I mean, we're all just doing the best we can at the
No, I know.
time with the information we have.
Yeah.
That's one thing I like to stress to people is to give yourself a lot of grace because you can't live in the past. Yes, you want to examine it and see,
Yes.
okay, what happened there? What did I do? What can I do differently? But I don't ever like people living there because that's not helpful. And one, you're going to sit in negative energy and then you're just going to attract negative energies, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so yeah, I love that you're acknowledging that you definitely saw difference from the first to the third.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of personal growth happened in there too. So
Yeah.
as you grow as a human, as a mom, as a wife, it is a little bit easier to kind of go, oh, and you just look at things differently. Like the control, like I have let go a lot of those control mechanisms because I'm like, no, that's no longer serving me. And I'm not my best self when I'm trying to control everything. I am not.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I am my best self when I'm able to serve others and allow them to like be themselves and I help them become the best version of them. Oh my gosh. Like I just sit back and I'm like, so it's the best. And last summer, and I'll just share this, but last summer I planned my 20th high school reunion.
Oh gosh.
I know. And I had so much fun. And my mom's like, why do you want to, like, did you get to talk to anyone? I was like, Mom, it doesn't even matter. Like, I don't talk to anyone from high school, if I'm being brutally honest. I have like 2 or 3 friends that I still talk to. But, and I'm sharing this because this is growth, right? Like, she's like, well, you didn't get to talk to anyone. I was like, well, I visited a little bit. But the purpose of me, running it is because I knew that I could create the environment that everyone needed to have. And I was like, I know that if I come in with my systems and my schedule and my perfectionism, and I come in there with these grand vision ideas and I help put the event together, that I know that everyone's going to have a great time. And they did. And everyone was like, this is wonderful. This was so good. And da, 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 da. And I'm like, yes. But I got to see everyone. That was my favorite part is just watching everyone just flourish in the night. That was basically what everyone's doing. Everyone's just enjoying each other and having a great time. And I'm just like sitting back, like, mm, like that's all I really wanted to do. I just wanted to see everyone just have a great, grand old night.
That's awesome. Man, well, I'll say when you get to your 40s, you're going to be like, this is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that I know on my actual 40th birthday, it was one of the days here in the Houston area that everything froze over.
Yes.
And I was like, I am not working out on my 40th birthday. So I walked to the gym in our neighborhood, which was really stupid looking back at it because I could have, slipped on the ice and broken something. But thankfully I didn't. But ever since I turned then, I'm actually about to be 48 now. But I tell people being in my 40s has been so much nicer because I know so much more about myself and I give myself a lot more grace than I did. And my 30s, I think were hard. I mean, my husband had cancer when we were in our 30s, so that's obviously not a challenge many 30-year-olds deal with. Um, but yeah, the 40s have just been great. And, I see women sometimes, like I mentioned earlier, and they're like, oh, well, we're just getting old. I'm like,
Yeah.
heck no.
No, that is a mindset. I do not believe in that. You will age because you can't stop the time, but no, I will not put myself under old. I'm
Yeah,
like, no.
exactly. I saw this one video recently. It was this woman, I think she was in China, if I remember correctly, China or may have been Vietnam. Anyway, she was doing this insane, like flexible strength pose. And she was, I think they said like close to 100, regardless. It was like over 90. And I was blown away. And I was like, see,
Yeah.
mind over matter.
Yes. Yes. Well, and that's the thing. Like, we really do have, it's all up here. There's so much up here that we really just, and it's how you word things, it's how you phrase things. And I'm sure you speak about that on your podcast all the time. Like, it is so important. And it's so important.
Yeah. I mean, really, I've been, listening to several audiobooks that talk about the mindset aspect of it and just talking about all the studies and, the Olympians, how they literally will visualize themselves getting on the podium, accepting their medal or doing the actual event. And, the studies that show the ones who do the visualizations succeed.
Yeah.
Like it increases your chances an insane amount. So, I like to even myself, okay, I'm visualizing my body healing itself and I'm visualizing, oh, look, my thighs are looking good today,
I love
even though
it.
they're not quite where I want them right now, but I know that I know I can get them there. And so, but yeah, sorry, I went on a little tangent there. So, well, how can people interact with you, work with you? I know you've got a Facebook group that you have as well.
Yeah. So I do. We've got a fit community that we got like 2,000 women in there. It's super fun. We do weekly challenges just to kind of stay on track, be motivated, have someone in your corner. And then you can follow me on Instagram, which is my favorite place to hang out at Chaselynn252. And then that's pretty much it. Like I'm easy going. I'm easy going. And then you mentioned earlier about the podcast. So it's great.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll be sure to link everything down in the notes as well. Is there anything that you were like, I really wanted to make sure I was able to share this with the audience?
Oh, great question. I think the biggest thing is just taking ownership of yourself. You know, it's just stepping back and going, you know what? No, I I don't have to live that way. I don't have to be a circumstance of my past. I don't have to be a circumstance of anything around me. Like, you have the opportunity to take ownership of what you want, what you desire, what you want to be a part of, like what life you want to create. Like, you have the opportunity to do that. And I think a lot of people, especially when it comes to health, they're like, oh, like we mentioned earlier, where it's just like, oh, whatever. I'm like, no. And a lot of people have been living in either chronic hurt, chronic pain, been don't even know what it feels like to feel good. And I just want to encourage you that there are answers out there and that there are, people that can support you. And but you have to want it and you have to take ownership of making those decisions and taking those actions.
I love that. I love that you said that. And you just made so many things pop in my head. There's a particular uh, or a public figure, I guess I'll say, who she has this particular club and she has a giant following. And while I think some of the stuff is funny and it's nice to laugh at, I do get concerned at times when I think, oh my gosh, are women taking this too seriously and sitting in these thoughts of the, oh, we're getting old, so this is just how it is. And you made me think too about how, taking ownership. I love so many, I hear so many people, oh, it's just my genetics, or, oh, I was born that way, or no, I have this limitation or whatever. And I say baloney,
I
you
agree.
might do it differently, but you can still I feel like we're still responsible for doing as best we can with the bodies we can and with what we can.
Yes.
Um, so I'm glad that you said that. I was like, when you said it, I'm like, soundbite.
Yeah. Love it.
So that was awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. I know there's probably a ton more questions we could go over, so I'll probably have you back on again so we can go over more. But I really appreciate you having this conversation. I feel like it flew by for
I
me.
know we're really fast. I love it. Thank you so much. It was so good.
Thanks.